All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're digging into the archives to uncover this really radical, almost forgotten 19th century health philosophy. And it didn't just question medical treatments, it actually challenged the very definition of disease itself. So yeah, let's dive right in.
So let me just start with this question. What if every cough, every fever, every single ache and pain wasn't a sign that your body is failing you? What if instead it was a sign that your body is fighting, intelligently and with purpose, to heal itself? It's a pretty provocative idea, and it's right at the heart of what we're talking about today.
You heard that right. These pioneers of a movement they called the Hygienic system, guys like Isaac Jennings and Sylvester Graham, they proposed a complete 180 on how we think about illness. They argued that what we call disease, that collection of symptoms we try so hard to get rid of, is actually the cure in action. Your body isn't breaking down, it's just cleaning house.
Now, to really wrap our heads around this, we have to start with their #1 foundational principle. It's a concept they believed governed all of life, whether you're sick or healthy. The idea of the body's right action.
This right here, this really gets to the core of the whole thing. Just think about a fever. Conventionally, we see it as the enemy, right? Something to be knocked down with medication as fast as possible. But from the hygienic view, a fever is your body being incredibly smart. It's raising its own temperature to make itself a horrible place for pathogens to live. It's a powerful, vital, and healing effort. Suppressing it, they argued, is kind of like telling the firefighters to go home while the building's still on fire.
So this big idea actually has a name. It was called orthopathy by its founder, Dr. Isaac Jennings. It's this core belief that the body is just not capable of doing the wrong thing. Every single process, whether it feels good or bad, is a purposeful, life-preserving action. The body is always, and I mean always, moving towards health, trying to maintain its own integrity.
And Herbert Shelton, who was a huge champion of this philosophy in the 20th century, he explained it perfectly. When your body's under stress, it doesn't just act randomly. It makes an intelligent, economic decision. It starts shutting down the non-essential stuff, like digestion or even big muscle movements, all to conserve every last drop of energy and redirect it to the most critical job it has, healing and surviving.
Okay, so if a fever or a cold is the body's right action to heal, the obvious question is, what's it trying to heal from? Well, the hygienists had a single unifying answer for that, a state they called toxemia.
Dr. John H. Tilden, he's the one who really developed this theory, and he saw it as the root cause of basically all disease. It's a chain of events, and it starts with our habits. Things like overeating, not getting enough sleep, tons of emotional stress, all of this stuff drains our nerve energy. He called this state enervation. And when our energy is low, our organs of elimination, the kidneys, bowels, lungs, skin, they just can't keep up. They get impaired. And that leads to the final step, toxemia, which is just the buildup of the body's own metabolic waste, essentially poisoning the blood from the inside. This quote from Tilden really just sums it all up in a nutshell. In his view, it's not a germ, it's not a virus, it's not bad genes. It is the body's own retained waste that is the one true cause of sickness. A germ in this model is just a consequence, not the cause. It's like a scavenger that shows up to a garbage dump. So the point is, clean up the environment, and the scavenger has nowhere to go. And this brings us right back to the beginning. That healing crisis, what you and I would call a cold or the flu, is just the body finally saying, okay, that's it, enough is enough. When the level of this toxemia hits a boiling point, the body just erupts. It starts this powerful, coordinated effort to kick out all that waste. The running nose, the sweating, the fever. That's not the illness. That is an emergency detox.
So, if the body needs all this energy to run these healing crises, what's the most powerful way to give it that energy? Well, according to the hygienist, the answer isn't a medicine, it's not some treatment, it's complete physiological rest. And the most profound form of that rest is fasting. Okay, first things first, we've got to clear up a huge misconception here. Shelton was so clear about this. Fasting is not starvation, not even close. Fasting is a totally safe physiological process where the body intelligently lives on its stored nutrients, mostly fat. Starvation, which is a pathological process, only begins when those vital reserves are completely gone, and that takes a very, very long time for most people.
I mean, just think about the massive amount of energy your body uses every single day just to digest food. When you fast, all of that energy is liberated. It's freed up to be redirected to the really important jobs, getting rid of toxins and repairing damaged tissues. Your body also kicks into this process called autophagy or self-digestion, and it is incredibly smart about it.
It goes after the non-essential tissues first: fat deposits, cysts, benign tumors, while it preserves vital organs like your brain and heart until the very end. It's really the ultimate form of rest on every level.
So just how long can the body actually live on its own reserves? Well, get this number. It's pretty astonishing. Herbert Shelton actually supervised a fast that lasted for 90 days. Now, that is not a recommendation, but it is a powerful demonstration of the body's incredible and frankly often underestimated capacity for self-healing.
But what happens when we constantly interfere? What happens when we repeatedly suppress those healing crises with drugs? Well, according to the hygienists, that is the exact path that leads from something like a common cold all the way to chronic disease.
You see, they didn't see disease as a bunch of random, unrelated attacks. They saw it as a single, continuous story of progressive toxemia. It might start as a simple cold in a kid, suppress that, and the toxins stay in the body. Years later, maybe it shows up as acne. Suppress that, and it becomes recurring headaches. If you keep suppressing the body's efforts to clean house, eventually this long-term, low-grade poisoning can turn into a serious chronic condition like arthritis.
So from this point of view, chronic diseases, things like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, even conditions that affect our mental health and clarity like Alzheimer's, they aren't sudden failures. They're the end product. They are the body's final, compromised adaptation to a lifetime of accumulating toxins that it was never allowed to properly get rid of. It's the long-term price of treating symptoms instead of ever removing the cause.
And this really brings us to the ultimate point. The hygienic system wasn't just a theory of disease or some method of fasting. At its very core, it was a complete philosophy of living. It was designed to prevent that toxemia from ever building up in the first place.
The whole focus was always on creating health, not fighting disease. They identified what they saw as the essential conditions for life: clean air and water, a diet of natural, whole foods, a good balance of rest and exercise, sunshine, and, this is a crucial one, emotional poise. They believed that if you just provided the body with these things, health would be the natural, inevitable result.
And Shelton himself, he just summarized it perfectly. The goal was never to find a better way to treat sickness. The goal was to teach a way of living that made treatment totally unnecessary. It was always about removing the causes of disease and just letting the body's own powerful, built-in healing ability do the rest.
So in the end, this whole lost philosophy leaves us with this really profound and deeply personal question. It puts the power and, frankly, the responsibility squarely back in our own hands. If the way we live, think, and eat every single day is the foundation of our illness, then it has to be the foundation of our health too. So the question is, what are you building?